Hi, this is Terry, and I'd like to thank you for viewing my Tessa 52 YouTube videos. These are tough times right now, so I'd quickly like to say, stay safe, keep well, and be strong. Thank you. I thought I'd do this quick video to answer a question that comes up from time to time, that I've been asked by friends, which is, why buy a John Deere 425 or a 445, or for that matter the diesel 455? Those of us that have these tractors, people that may watch my videos that have these, know very well why these are a great tractor and why they are good to have, but other people might not have that answer easily, and as what I've been told before, I've told people, well, these days you can pick up one of these tractors privately for a nice one, less than 1,000 hours, say between somewhere less than 3,000, maybe as low as just over 2,000 from a private person, or from a dealer maybe between 3,000 and 4,000. And they'll say to me, yeah, well, that's great, but I can go to John Deere and for $2,000 I can buy a brand new tractor. In fact, I can go to John Deere and for $2,800 I can buy a brand new tractor with a 25 horsepower motor in it. So I thought I'd just point out some of the differences. Well, for a start, those tractors that you can buy at, say, Home Depot, or indeed go to a John Deere dealer and buy for that sort of money, are essentially lawn tractors, lawn mowers. They're for cutting the lawn. That's what they do really well. That's what they're essentially made for. Maybe not huge acreage, but they'll do a lot of nice lawn work. Whereas these tractors, these are not, although they're often called lawn tractors, and even John Deere tends to use that name these days, the real term for this kind of tractor is a garden tractor. In other words, they do a lot more than just mowing the lawns. They're built like real tractors. The frames on these tractors are heavy steel. The engines, for instance, on the 445 and the 425, and I have talked about the comparisons between the two before, they have the same engine. This is in the 445, which has the fuel injection, this is a 22 horsepower Kawasaki liquid-cooled V-twin, an FD620D. Same engine in the 425, but that has a carburetor rather than fuel injection. And these engines deliver, not just that they're delivering 22 horsepower or 20 horsepower for that matter, they're delivering it in a different way from the typical lawn tractor you're going to see at Home Depot. These ones are delivering the power horizontally. In other words, like a car engine, the power is coming horizontally off the crankshaft. And your driving implements, your mower deck or your implements, whatever you want to run, like a snowblower, with these tractors with a proper drive shaft. So the frame is built for strength, and you have a huge what's it called, power takeoff points, where you connect these drive shafts, whether that's for a cultivator or a snowblower or the like, or a broom, one of those big rotary brooms. It's being driven directly from the engine along a solid power shaft. Now, with a lawn tractor, just a regular lawn tractor, the engine is sitting differently and the power is being delivered vertically. So in other words, the spline is going straight down beneath the engine, because all you're doing there is running essentially a mowing deck. You can run other things, but essentially you're powering a mower deck straight from that drive shaft that goes down the vertical, and all you're doing is running a belt off of that. So you're running your deck with a belt, or even if you're using a snowblower, you're running it with a rubber belt. It's not the same kind of power device, because it's not delivering the same amount of torque. Although John Deere is not very good at talking about torque numbers, foot-pounds of torque, that's critical to any of these kinds of engines. It's not just about horsepower. It's how the horsepower is delivered. The amount of torque, the low end, if you like, low end power. So you're not having to rev an engine high. These engines don't rev high, even at full revs. When you're using them at full revs, they're not turning over at huge revolutions, because they're delivering power at the low end of the engine cycle. Whereas those other engines do have to run much higher. They're not as torquey, they're not really as powerful. So that's one of the fundamental differences between a regular lawn tractor and one of these tractors. Now these tractors now are, you know, the newest ones are now almost 20 years old. This one here is a 2000 model, my 445. I bought it in, I think it was 2001, so I've had it about 19 years. I bought it with 150 hours on it, and it has just over 1,000 hours on it. And it's fantastic, and it'll go on forever, as long as you look after them, as long as you do. And they're robust. The engine is robust. The transmission, the hydrostatic transmission and hydraulic system is very strong, as long as you take good care of them. You know, and the frame, more importantly, the frame, the chassis. If you look at some of my other videos, there's one where I strip one of these tractors right down to change the engine, and you can see the frame there. After 20 years, the frame was totally solid, no rust or anything. Very strong, very heavily built. In other words, they are a real tractor, so you can run implements and exercise an awful lot of lift power and pulling power that you can't with a cheaper kind of lawn tractor. When I went out and bought my 445 back in, again, I started looking at these in around 2000. My John Deere dealer said, this is what you really need for your acreage. And I looked at it in the showroom, and it was like $11,000 at that time, this particular model. So I booked at that price, and rather than buy a new one, I hunted around, and I ended up having this one shipped up from Kentucky when it was, again, about 18 months old with 150 hours on it, and it's been fabulous, I have to say. And this one I bought only 3 years ago with 1,000 hours on it, just under 1,000 hours, and I paid, I had it for a fabulous price. I paid $3,000 with a snowblower and with a MC519, which is the big collection system that goes on the back, the vacuum and collection system. So you can get great deals on these if you hunt around and look for them. You're obviously going to get a better deal if you get one from a private owner who's really looked after it. Or you can go to a dealer who might give you some kind of, I don't know, service history or warranty or whatever, and pay probably another $1,000 or so. I would also recommend this, if you're serious about these and you do want one of these, and you think you're going to need a snowblower or a loader or something, or a collection system, try to buy, or even a cab for that matter. You'll save money by actually buying them if you're finding someone that's selling a package, in other words, a tractor with the implements, because these implements can get expensive, and the chances are you'll get a better deal by buying a bundle, as it were. Okay, the one other thing I would say about buying one of these tractors is, and as a lot of owners already know, some of the earlier ones, they made these between 1992 and 2001. The earlier models, I think up until around 1998, but there was a serial number cutoff that most people can find out. They had cam gear in here, cam drive, which was plastic. And at a certain point, you have to change those. Certain number of hours, otherwise they will fail. This one is a 96 or 97. And I bought it and it already had been changed. That's a big job. If you're not up to doing it yourself, you wouldn't want to touch this. So make sure that's been done. They should be done. Any tractor that's been looked after will have had that done. This one, being a later model, they'd already changed the steel cam gear. So this was never necessary on this particular, my 445. But that is something, if someone is considering buying one of these, to keep in mind and be very aware of when you're shopping around. But as I say, these are great tractors. These are garden tractors. The next category up is what you would call a subcompact tractor. And quite frankly, the difference between these and a subcompact tractor, in my mind, is so small that if ever I feel the need to go up from one of these, it would be for a compact tractor. Because the difference between this and a subcompact in terms of capability is minimal. The other thing I would say is it's worth comparing the price and value and capability of these to what John Deere is currently offering as a same kind of tractor, if you like. The equivalent of these now, these garden tractors, is the John Deere X700 series. Now, the bottom line model of that has the same engine, essentially, the Kawasaki twin engine liquid cooled with it's a little bit more, I think it's like up to 750 cc's. This is like 619, 620 cc's, so it delivers a couple more horsepower, but it's essentially the same tractor. And for that, with a deck, the base model, you're going to pay, I think it's a couple of dollars under $14,000 now. That's what you would pay if you went to a John Deere dealer right now and bought the new equivalent of this. But they go much more expensive than that. I happen to sit on a board of a co-op development where we have an apartment, and we have our guys there have John Deere equipment. And a couple of months ago, for snow clearing, we bought we upped one of the tractors and bought a new X758, which is the all-wheel drive diesel version of the new series, okay, with a cab. And the John Deere cab, the cab that John Deere offers now is a Muller cab. That tractor, without the cab, was, I think it was a tad under 16,000. And with the cab was another 6,000 with all the fitments, and it came in at well over 20,000, like 22, 23,000. So that is how I view these. That's that's why these represent fantastic value. Again, age shouldn't be a put off for buying one of these. The fact that they're in good condition, that they've been well looked after, and the fact that you know how to use them, what you're going to use them for. Again, they carry weights. You can load the tires. The frame is very heavy and strong. They're reliable, extremely efficient. And again, I love them. They're wonderful tractors, and I can recommend them. I'm not an expert. If you see my videos, I hope you don't think I'm trying to be an expert. I'm just an enthusiastic owner with a lot of experience of running and repairing and maintaining these things and using them for different projects. And so that's my sort of, that's my dollar's worth of information there, if you like. So anyway, I hope you found this interesting and enjoyable. If you have, please give me a like, and better still, subscribe. Subscribing to the channel is free, and you get to know about all my videos as they come along. And please feel free to leave comments and ask questions. I'm always interested in getting feedback. Thank you, and again, stay safe, keep well, and be strong.